freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. We're doing a series called Ameri-CAN, talking about the can-do spirit that is part of our American DNA.
Absolutely. We are being told all the places that we can't go and all the things that we can't do as our lives have been turned upside down by this coronavirus, this COVID-19. But we're reaching out to experts in their field and learning ways that we can still learn and grow, train and connect, and expand our freedoms in ways that maybe we haven't even thought about before. And our guest today is Erin Weidemann. Erin is the founder of Truth Becomes Her, a brand that equips moms and women with resources to help them step into their unique leadership roles. She's a sought-after homeschool consultant, certified teacher, coach, and nationally recognized speaker. And Erin's personal mission is to shift the conversation around feminine values from being beauty-driven to a focus on inherent worth. She's the author of 8 books, including the best-selling Bible Bells series that I have bought for my granddaughter and several of our relatives with young girls. Erin is a 5-time cancer survivor. She lives and homeschools in San Diego, California with her husband, Brent, and their daughter, Rooney. And during this COVID-19 season, Erin began offering formalized help and training to families all over the nation, listen to this, who many have never before needed homeschooling help, but now we do. Erin, welcome to the show and help us. Help us with homeschooling.
You. Thank you so much for having me. And honestly, this time, I know for a lot of us, it's felt so burdensome and so overwhelming, but it really can be a blessing. It's such a sweet time to invest in your family. So that's just been our heart for the last several weeks, wanting to come alongside parents and grandparents and everybody who's been thrust into the out of nowhere, learning experience at home, and how do we juggle work and home and, school now. And it feels really overwhelming, I think, for parents. So just want to be a resource and serve where we can.
If you're going to teach her, Erin, please make sure that you're teaching her how to help with my grandchildren and not me, because she's trying to homeschool me now. Okay?
I think we all need a little bit of training, right? Like this happened, so. Out of nowhere with no notice, and everyone's got to just figure out what, setting up a workspace and a learning environment looks like, and who are we leveraging inside our houses, through technology outside of our houses, getting very creative about school at home. So it's exciting, but yes, I hear the frustration.
Oh, absolutely. And as I said, your Bible Bells series, I just love it. And so I had to put it here in front of the camera for the people that are watching us on video. And it's just a tremendous series. It's very colorful and very well done. And I think it is because I bought those that I ended up in my email inbox a wonderful email from your group that said, "Hey, are you homeschooling? I have help for you." And I was like, God, is that God talking? Because I needed that, because I am a natural teacher in a lot of areas, but not necessarily teaching a 5-year-old how to read and her attention span. Maybe I'm trying to do it for too long at a go, or maybe the surroundings that I put us in are not the best. I mean, there's all kind of things that come into this. And so you have been doing it for a while. And you have probably worked through all of these things. So how do we balance? And those of us that have multiple kids at different ages, oh my gosh, like, and grade levels and personalities, how do you break that down? How do you help us with that?
It's such a good question, and something that I think personally I had to learn to let go of as a professional teacher. I taught public and private school, multiple grade levels and subjects for many, many years. So when I quit my job and my husband and I started, our business, and we became entrepreneurs, it's business, it's ministry, it's all happening at home. Now we're schooling at home. I had to learn to let go of some of those traditional school rules, the context and the experience that I had as a teacher, standing, in front of 25 to 40 children, presenting material, getting them started on a learning activity. They're rotating through. It's a certain amount of time. School happens for 8 hours a day. All of these different rules that I was used to, I had to let go of and really learn that I had the freedom and the choice to craft. And I love this conversation about freedom, and because what you can do in this season is fully optimize your home. You have so much freedom, so much choice to really curate the experience for each of your learners that's going to meet them exactly where they're at and help them learn in the best way they learn. So I always counsel parents around, chunking blocks of time that make sense for each of your learners. You've got a 5-year-old learning to read at home. They're not going to be able to sit for more than 20, 30 minutes at a time. So part of your approach to teaching them reading can be to move around. It doesn't need to be, just seated at the kitchen table for a block of time trying to focus on, something like a worksheet or a set of activities, right? They need to move, they need to be themselves, and they can do all of the things, the phonics and literacy related things, just being who they are as their 5-year-old self. So I think really using this time to explore who each of your individual children are, and thinking about the style, their personality, what way is going to meet them inside your home, in a way that's effective and that will help them, yes, learn the material, but ultimately enjoy the learning experience, because that's what we want to grow inside our kids, that intangible love of learning, that excitement for discovery and that curiosity about the world and who they are in it. And all of these great, amazing questions, we can cultivate a really rich and beautiful experience at home without the pressure of, you got to do it 7 hours, you've got to sit at a table, you've got to rotate around like a bell schedule. It just doesn't exist inside our houses. It's so exciting.
Well, I love that you have such an excitement for it, because it's contagious. And instead of us feeling maybe like afraid of it, or, like, well, I'll get to it by the end of the day. And then the end of the day comes and maybe I didn't really get to it. And then she's missed out on another full day of working on some of this stuff. That's really encouraging to see that you make me feel like it is doable.
It is doable. And honestly, I mean, there's so much of a release of pressure and stress when you get going and you find a good rhythm, and you see that, your oldest learners, middle school and high school students, they're going to get their work done in about 3 to 4 hours a day. It's really not going to take them the amount of time to hit all their core subjects, still have some free time and break time, relaxing time to work in, time to help out with the family chores and those beautiful things that grow you together as a family team. But you're going to notice that once they get their work done in a block of 3 or 4 hours, they're going to have all this time to be, and you're going to be able to really connect with them around the things that interest them, their unique abilities, how they want to spend their free time, what sorts of independent activities will fill them up, light them up as a human being, and just take the time to connect as a family while we're all, isolated at home. This is really a time not to have any stress or worry about that, but this is our safe, secure place. It's the place we feel most free to be ourselves. And it's really a time to invest in each individual family member and the team as a whole.
Well, and, as I hear you talking about, trying to figure out each child's kind of learning style, I'm thinking about, the idea of love languages. A lot of us understand that, right? That some of us hear and feel love in different ways, either through compliments or gift giving or physical touch or whatever those things are. those don't seem odd to us, but to try to figure out learning styles, somehow that feels like, ooh, that sounds mysterious and, something that only people who have formalized teacher training would know how to do. But you're really just saying, just connect, connect where they are as individuals, right?
Yeah, and does anyone know your child better than you do? I mean, really, besides the Lord, you're the person who has been called to shepherd this life and raise them and nurture them and guide them in the way that you can partner with the Lord to do that. But certainly, I mean, we've all been gifted these human beings to raise and influence, and the teaching component, the academic component is just another layer of that, right? Gaining knowledge is important. Yes, we want to help them improve their skills, but ultimately, aren't we parenting and grandparenting and leading them, in a more holistic approach, right? We're trying to help them build essential communication skills and life skills, the things they need to do to just handle their life as a human being, cooking, cleaning, fixing things that break at the house. This is all an amazing time to just allow the normal rhythms and routines of your home to inform your approach to the learning day, to, yes, hit all the academic subjects, make sure they're memorizing their vocabulary and working on their reading and their math and those core subjects, certainly, but it can be a time of real enrichment as well. And it doesn't have to feel so overwhelming. I know there are so many parents going, well, I'm not an expert in any one particular subject, but take it from me as someone who's taught multiple subjects across many different age ranges. You do not have to be an expert in any one subject to be an effective teacher. You need to have passion. You need to have the willingness to spend the time and patience that it takes to reach learners, and to be excited about asking questions like, what is it going to take to engage this learner and to meet them where they are? It just takes the investment of a caring, trusted adult, and who better than you?
Well, Erin, I heard you say, fixing things at homes and things like that. What an opportunity for kids, to learn things outside of the school, because usually on a regular day they come home and everybody's too tired. They really don't spend the time. But, kids don't know how to do anything except the schoolwork that they get if you don't teach them, right? And how many kids out there don't know how to do the little things to fix things at home?
Yeah, and a lot of the, in the high school years, those shop classes
They're gone.
and things like that have been taken out. And so if we don't lean on our grandpas, right, and our dads, and I know a lot of moms who actually are great woodworkers, and I know a lot of dads that are good at sewing curtains and things like that. So it doesn't necessarily fall down those traditional lines. It's just whatever you're good at, draw your children and your grandchildren into it. And what an amazing time in history that we have to instill our values rather than just the school's values into that next generation. I mean, what a beautiful opportunity we have for that, Erin. But, when we have people that are working full time, because not everybody has gone, on quarantine, and not everybody across the nation has, gotten where they are working from home. So some people's schedule is just as busy as it was before. And now they've got to fit school into it as well. And you're saying it still can be done.
We work from home full time. My husband and I run a business ministry where I travel. I mean, I'm not traveling now, but I travel usually and speak. And I'm the content creator, in our business. And he runs the back end of everything, all the business development, the website. I mean, everything it takes, the engine that makes the business go. But all of that happens from our home space, right? So asking some smart questions of your family team, right? And gathering your people together and saying, okay, these are the things, these are the tasks and responsibilities that professionally the adults in the house need to take care of. These are the tasks and responsibilities that not professionally, but certainly our students' work is professional for them. It's the season that they're in where they're growing and learning, and they're in the sea of academics, right? So all of these things need to be prioritized. But I think the best thing parents can do, and there's a whole section on how to do this inside the mentorship series on how do you bring your family together and land on what your family values, what matters most to your family, and allow those values to inform the expectations you set, the schedule and the routines that you implement, and adjust as they're necessary to adjust, right? Because if we put a plan in place and it doesn't seem to be working, we're not just going to sit in the, the disconnect of that, right? We're going to make the adjustments we need to. But those values really are at the core of effective school at home, right? And effective leadership, really. It's about bringing your team together and saying, what do we value? What are we built to prioritize? What are the most important priorities this family has? And then allow those to inform everything, your expectations, the behaviors, right? The disciplinary action when, students maybe aren't behaving or aren't working in a way that reflects those values. It creates so much more buy-in for each individual family member to know, okay, the people in this home, we've landed on the fact that we value things like unity and peace and diligence and flexibility, and whatever those values are inside your home, outline those and agree on those as a family. It will create enthusiasm and buy-in for each of your learners. There will be less pushback because they're not, the fact is they're not used to learning from you in this way.
Right.
And that's okay. They need to just be taught and retrained that, hey, you're going to view mom and dad and grandma and grandpa through a totally different lens in this season. And that's going to take some learning on their part. It's going to take some training on the part of you as the adult. But, there's grace in all of that, right? As we learn to figure it out, it's not just, well, the situation is very different now, so just deal with it and deal with it, right away with no problem, right?
Right.
I mean, there is a learning curve. So just, be okay with the fact that your kids aren't used to learning from you in this way. It's okay. They can be trained, but really just landing on those family values and using them to make every decision that you make moving forward inside your school at home experience will make all the difference concerning each of your individual learners, because they will be able to see, okay, that bigger picture, that overarching, it's the theme, what we're trying to accomplish as our family team is just going to help them view it through a light that's a little bit more, that's a little clearer in a sea of uncertainty.
That's awesome. So I was pulling up your website as you were talking, the Heroic Homeschooler. What a perfect name for this program.
Seriously, you can be the hero of this situation. I know a lot of parents don't feel that way. We've all been in survival mode, but we can handle this. And that's partly why the name.
I just love it. And so, you click the Enroll Now button. What would people expect to find when they go there? Because I can't help but believe that people that are watching and listening right now are making a beeline to this to say, oh yeah, please help me feel heroic because I'm feeling anything but that right now.
Yes. Okay. So inside the mentorship, you will find basically everything you need to set up a successful school at home situation for your family. It provides you with online training videos where it's me delivering the information, how to set up a real routine and a rhythm for your family that's going to work. How do you find that? Because every family situation is unique and different. How do you acclimate your children for at-home learning when it's not what they're used to? How do you overcome fear and failure? The words that you're saying to yourself, I'm not an expert, I don't know how to do this. We need to actually help and really step in and help parents deal with the fact that they can do it with the right training, the right tools, having a strategy, helping to get organized. So all of that exists inside the mentorship series, as well as a private community where, moms and dads all over the country are in there asking questions. What do I do for this? What do I do for multiple learners? What do I do if I have students with special needs? I'm trying to juggle my job now at home. There are so many different nuanced approaches that we can take, but we really need to invite parents and grandparents into a conversation where they feel okay to ask questions. They don't have to have everything figured out, but certainly give them some ideas to implement and try, and then assess it very frequently and see, gosh, this is really working for my family, or no, this is not working. And let me gain some access and some wisdom into how I can set this up successfully. So all that lives inside the program.
That is amazing. And all of that for the just overwhelmingly massive price of what, $39 a month or something?
No, $39 outright. We lowered the price. It's something that we put together and we thought parents need help right now. Someone needs to meet them exactly where they are, answer the questions they have, be there to advise them, give them some ideas and tools to try, and point them, to things like how to choose curriculum. A lot of the parents out there have curriculum questions because they have either been sent curriculum home from their school, which they don't feel is adequately supporting their learners, or they've been sent home with less or nothing than they need to actually do this effectively. So a lot of parents are scrambling going, I don't feel necessarily supported by my kid's school regarding distance learning or e-learning. Yes, they're on talking to their teacher, but certainly it doesn't seem like they're getting what they need. How do I resource what I need on the internet in a way that's free or low cost? And as teachers, we're used to finding all of these things, and being creative in the way we put lessons together, right? So I think for me, it was just about gathering people in one place saying, these are the 7 questions you can ask when you're trying to figure out if a curriculum or a set of lessons is going to work for your student. And then, be able to make some decisions moving forward and not feel like those decisions are based in fear, but they're actually based on solid wisdom. I've asked some questions. I've been able to discern whether or not this is going to work for my learner. And I can find things that are of minimal cost because, everybody being home right now, no one budgeted for this with their time, let alone their finances. So no one's, the average person out there is not going, yes, I have $300 to drop on a curriculum that's going to take me through the next couple of months. They don't have the capacity to do that. So it's more about getting creative in how we teach and the types of things we can find on the internet that will really light our kids up.
That was $39 one time. Done.
One time.
That's amazing. That is practically free in this world.
I'm wondering if after this thing's over, if there's going to be more homeschooling, that people are going to get used to this and like it. What do you think, Erin? Do you think they will?
That's a great question. And honestly, as a teacher who left the classroom and was used to, that 8 to 10 hour day and grading papers on the weekends, and now really watching what our family's been able to accomplish with the growth of our business, being able to travel and do ministry as a family. Like, I've really enjoyed being able to pick our lessons up and take my daughter on trips, with us to other countries. We went to Peru a couple of months ago with Food for the Hungry. There are just some amazing ministry and business opportunities that we can invite our kids into, at least personally, that I have really enjoyed, not feeling so tied down by, I've got to be in a classroom. And even if they miss 1 or 2 days of school, sometimes that can really set kids back, and it creates a lot of anxiety having to go, okay, I've got to take this packet with me, or, I'm not going to be able to get caught up, and I've got to make up all these tests. And kids are under a lot of pressure, inside the typical school environment. So I'll be very interested to see after this, and however long this lasts, right? If we go back in the fall to business as usual and kids, schools open and everything goes back to normal, I'm wondering the percentage of parents who might go, gosh, this is really working. Or if I could figure out a hybrid work, school, situation at home, is that going to be something that's going to allow our family to spend more time together, to stay connected, and to, again, meet learners in the way they best learn, where they're not in a classroom of 30, 40 kids at a time.
Right. And they're talking 2 or 3 hours a day versus a full day in school. And the way we travel and stuff, what a perfect tool that would be, because you don't have to teach them at 8 o'clock in the morning. You could teach them at 8 o'clock at night when you're doing something, or when you're in Peru or whatever. What a lesson that is in itself.
It's so great. And when we're home, we have our set schedule. She and I like to do school in the morning. We get up, we have breakfast, we do our devotionals. We start about 9 o'clock, unless I have, something that's pressing for work that it needs to be adjusted. And we're good about communicating when those changes happen, but we enjoy getting it done. And then she's got the free rest of the day to rotate through activities that light her up. She draws and paints and does jump rope outside, and the things that, her 6-year-old body needs to do to stay healthy and be rested, and all the ways that she wants to spend her time. She has the freedom to choose that, which is so beautiful to watch your kids get excited about the activities, and not necessarily, I'm in school and the bells are dictating to me at the time I spend doing different things, when I eat lunch, what kinds of recess activities I do, and all of that is regulated and told to them, they really do have the freedom at home to choose activities that they love to do and to improve their talents and their unique abilities. It's so cool to watch what can be unlocked in that way when you just give kids the choice and the freedom to choose. It's awesome.
It's true. The one thing that our 5-year-old granddaughter is missing most, I think, because I have been fuddling my way through the homeschooling, and your site is definitely helpful in that department. But she's missing kind of the socializing, the having friends around, and even being able to play with her cousins and that sort of thing. And so I know that people that are homeschoolers as a regular thing, not just because of coronavirus, there are outlets for that to bring kids together, right?
Yes. And I think one important, aspect of isolation and this uncertain time and all of the things that we want to be aware of as intentional parents and grandparents is certainly to be able to create opportunities for our kids to interact with people. I know my daughter's an only child. We have a baby on the way. So we've set up some virtual play dates for her where she will, call a friend over FaceTime. And it's not just them trying to have a conversation because they're young, but they're drawing back and forth, showing each other different pictures they're working on. They're doing a puppet show. And there are ways for kids to engage where they're not necessarily touching each other. It's a face-to-face interaction, but it's not in the same room. It's as close as it can be. And it really does create some beautiful opportunities for our kids to continue communicating, to continue, dealing relationally with people and just seeing the people that they're used to seeing. They miss their friends. I think that's one thing that we all are aware of as adults, how life looks very different right now. And we're not able to go out for coffee and have maybe a lunch date with the people that we want to go meet with. And maybe we don't think a lot about the fact that our kids are grieving some of their friendships, some of the normal routines they're used to, the happy smiles they're used to getting from a teacher or a principal or a group of friends at school. Maybe, they have experienced social pressure and that's sort of a negative, and being home is safety and secure for them. But gosh, we do have a whole population of students that really are missing. They're grieving, they're suffering through the fact that they aren't able to interact socially with the people who are very dear to them that aren't their family. But being able to set up things like virtual play dates and use the technology that we do have to help our children engage with people and maintain that relational bond is so important. So my advice to parents is just to figure out creative ways to do that. We've been doing it with our neighbors through the glass, where they, having masks and skateboarding outside and everybody maintaining several feet of distance. And there's a way to play safely, certainly. But just looking for those opportunities to support your kids, not just academically, but socially and emotionally as well. It's really important.
So true. Well, as we just start to wrap up a little bit, I do want to give you a sec to tell folks about the Bible Bell series, which is how you and I now know each other. Where did this idea come from? And what do I mean when I say Bible Bells? Bells as in
bell,
girl, right?
Yeah, bell comes from the word bellus in Latin. It means beautiful. And we really wanted to just take back the word beautiful from, culture's definition. It's all about what you look like, what you're wearing, and the outer appearance of a woman and a girl. And we felt challenged, in our church bookstore one day looking for cool resources that would connect girls to the women of the Bible. We just couldn't find anything that felt like it was going to be really meaningful, that a girl would be excited. But here she is, the average little girl can name all the Disney princesses, knows every detail of those stories. So we felt challenged. I mean, this is way before we even became parents. I was teaching school at the time and mentoring 6th grade girls, just wondering why they have missed who God called them to be, who they are, their true identity. And all of those different questions were sort of swirling for me. So we thought, let's write a book series that connects girls to the women of the Bible. It will help parents and grandparents talk through things like beauty and purpose and identity and all of those character traits we're trying to instill. And the Lord's just amplified this message and gotten it to every corner of the world in the last couple of years. So it's really been beautiful to watch it go from tiny little idea, in our apartment one day to now we've got 8 books and one more on the way in October. It's a New Testament series that highlights the gospel and the women of the New Testament. So that one's going to be really exciting. There are just a lot of cool things coming down the pipeline for Bible Bells and Truth Becomes Her in the next couple of months. But man, the beginning was such a sweet time. You're figuring out how to make these stories accessible for girls.
Well, I do love it. And when you hold them in a certain order, HEARD, heard. I love that. God has heard, right?
Yeah, I think, and there's no shortage of loud voice out in the world today. We really wanted to, expand on the idea that God gave each of our girls a powerful voice he wants them to use, but there's a way to lead and influence people. It doesn't mean having the loudest voice, but it does mean making the noise, being heard in the way God wants you to be heard, so that you can make your impact, the difference that you've been called to make by loving people, showing compassion, and all of the ways that we want to raise up strong girls who will love the world.
I love
so that's
that.
just really our heart for it. And I put them in that order, because their character traits made sense to build, each builds on the previous one. And then I realized the acronym spells the word heard. I was like, this is such a beautiful metaphor. So cool.
Awesome.
It really is. And thank you for writing those. I love reading through those with my granddaughter, and they're fun. They're very Disney-esque. And so it's not like, well, we want to go read this cool, pretty Disney book, but now we've got this boring Christian book, which was sadly the case for so many years. It's like if there was anything that was Christian related or spiritual related, it just seemed very wooden and very, like you had to give up some aesthetic in order to move in that direction. And you've really got that down pat. It's a high quality feel of a book, and I just love them. So thank you for doing that. And all the things you do, you wear so many hats, you do so many things. You do public speaking, you've got the homeschooling, you've got a podcast, you've got all kinds of things. So as we start to wrap up, just tell folks how they can follow all that you do, and help us know, how the heck do you do it? Because now you got a baby on the way.
Only with the Lord's help.
Yes.
Yeah, how I do everything I do is not alone. There's a team of people and a good Lord behind all the work we do that really moves everything forward. But I think I spent, the good part of my 20s and the early part of my 30s dealing with several bouts of cancer. So I think for me, I just wake up every day and realize I woke up today. So there's something that I can do to impact people, to be a light, to point people to God, to encourage people. So that's really just how we approach every day, not just as a business, but in our marriage and our parenting. And I'm just super blessed to be here and to have lived through what I lived through. So I think the Lord's really, he worked on my heart over that season, but he's really given me a new opportunity to live differently. So I'd really try to just do that and commit all the work to him. And then the best way for people to connect with us, honestly, is online at truthbecomesher.com. We have resources there, books, digital resources, courses that moms and dads can come and be a part of just to grow up this next generation. It's our passion. And online to connect with me on social media. On Instagram, it's Erin.Weidemann, and on Facebook, it's Erin Weidemann Official. So I'm usually there posting free content and just helpful videos, and just want to be a servant and a help to the parents and the people out there who I can be of service to. So grateful for the opportunity to talk with you guys today. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you so much. Erin Weidemann, we value you. We appreciate you. God bless. And thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you both. It's been a real pleasure.
All right. Bye-bye.
Wow. I've seen this last 3 weeks with our 5-year-old grandbaby, a difference. She's actually learning to read, which she wasn't before.
Yeah, it could just be the right time in her development that suddenly it's clicking, or maybe there is something special about being, in the setting and her and I spending time together. Because I do try to throw some play in. Like she has a board game. It's called Red Light, Green Light. And so you take a card and it's either a green light, which means you can move a space, or, oh, it's a red light and you have to stop and now it's the other person's turn. Well, she also has this other little box set of words, and it's called popcorn words or something. And each little popcorn kernel shaped playing piece has a 3 to 4 letter word on it. And so they were laying there together on the table, and I was like, how about this? What if we play the fun game, but when she hits a red light, she can have a chance at another turn if she can read this one of these words. And so we've really been enjoying doing that. And even when I hit a red light, then she has to, she gets to pick the word, and she makes a big show of finding just the right word and presenting it to me. And then we sound it out together, and she's still really reading, even though I'm reading. So that's been kind of fun. We just kind of made that up out of thin air.
Those popcorn words,
yeah,
they don't taste good.
Nice.
I tried. But no, I have noticed it. And, it's just like I was watching her just yesterday, and there's something that you can see clicked in her.
Yeah.
And really impressed. And that's because of you and her mom.
Well, I appreciate that. And her dad's very hands-on as well.
Sorry. Of course,
our son-in-law, Jason. And, she does she wants your attention. She wants Grandpa's attention, and she wants Grandpa to be proud of her. She wants to impress you. And so I do think there is something about that family dynamic and working on things like that can be very, very powerful and move that learning process along. I'm drawn to words. I'm kind of a word nerd. And so I always find that the lessons I want to sit down with her have to do with reading and words. But I do need to do the math things too. So I'm going to have to get on that a little bit. But I love that Erin is doing all that she's doing. And I love, that idea of bringing, learning into the home, that formalized learning. And what I was thinking about for part of what she was saying is, sometimes kids come home from school with maybe not the greatest grade. And what do they like to say? The teacher doesn't like me. Can they
that wouldn't work in my house.
Well, no, that wouldn't have worked anyway. And it didn't work with our daughter. But I'm just saying, now that the teacher is mom or grandma or dad or grandpa, I don't think you can get away with that.
No,
right?
No.
So, all right. Well, we need to wrap up. Right?
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much to all of our awesome listeners. Thank you for spending the time with us. And I know that especially today, we talked a lot about, the Bible, and we talked about Christian values and the Lord and things like that. I know that that's not everybody's pathway. And so, please know that we do know that, and we understand that, and we appreciate that. And that we love that you've given us the freedom to just enjoy that conversation without having to, clean it up and make it all super inclusive and make sure I've, covered all the bases for all the other faiths. I'll do my best to do that in other conversations, but thank you for just giving us that freedom to just be who we are and have that conversation with Erin and appreciate who she is. That is part of what is so amazing about this nation we live in. That we give each other that kind of space and freedom, and we don't get all pinchy lipped and upset because, they only talked about Bible things, and maybe I don't have a faith at all, maybe somebody out there hearing that, but the fact that you don't just tune us out automatically because we do happen to bring up a Bible verse or something like that. So thank you for that. I value that. Thank you so much to Erin. Holy cow, this is a very, very busy woman, and she made a lot of time to come and chat with us. And what an amazing program and mentorship that she has developed, the heroic homeschooler at truthbecomesher.com. Definitely go there and check that out if you are one of the gajillions of sudden home teachers that are out there, and keep it going through the summer. Just because the natural school year, this calendar date hits that the kids would be out for summer, why stop teaching?
Yeah, remember, the smarter your kids are, the easier it is for them to be able to pay for you to live when you're older. Right? I mean, it's an investment.
The sooner we can bump them out of the
So,
nest.
yeah, and bump them
right?
out of the nest, and
And then go
off.
nest in their house.
Right,
Is that what you're
right.
saying?
Well,
Turn
I'm
the
just
tables
saying.
on them. I love it. All right. Well, until next time, pray for our nation. Pray for our leaders.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning how to do that.
Even the ones you don't like,
Just a little harder, but I'm being taught.
especially the ones you don't like.
Yeah.
All right. Be good to each other. Have a great week, and God bless.